Wow. Hey, how are you? It's getting that time of year where Santa Claus is coming to town in about 2 weeks, I think. So thanks for joining me today. I'm going to talk about checklists, and today is probably good enough time to talk about checklists as relates to what are you going to do for Christmas and what you need to do between now and Christmas to get done what you need to get done between now and Christmas. Like checklists, who are you going to buy for? What are you going to do? When are you going to mail them? How you going to do it? What kind of party you have, and what are you going to have for a main course of your Christmas party? Who's going to be there? How are you going to seat people? There's all kinds of things going on, and a lot of those you have a checklist kind of in your head, but you don't really have a checklist until you get to the course of meals. What are you going to do? What's the list of items you want for the meal? Do you want gravy? Do you want baked potatoes? You want mashed potatoes? You want yams? Do you want brisket? Do you want turkey? Do you want ham? What do you want? Maybe Cornish game hens. That's another cool option. I think sometimes it's one of those things where everybody gets a little turkey, Cornish game hen. So that'd be kind of fun. Well, we're talking about checklists today, and the checklist program specifically we're talking about is the book, the Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. Gawande says that the checklist is a simple tool that makes complex work safer, smarter, and more human. It relieves us of that requirement to remember all the major steps and all the minor steps. Minor steps, if they are truly minor, don't create that much havoc. But the checklists are supposed to be getting the basic essentials. Like, for instance, I was thinking about this chocolate chip cookies. One of the major ingredients of chocolate chip cookies is chocolate chips. Now, when you follow a recipe, you've got to follow it. I mean, everything that goes in there is important to go in there, and even the sequencing, because some things are better at the last. For instance, I'm making some Chex Mix this weekend, and I won't put the Chex Mix M&Ms in there until the Chex Mix is already made and cooled down. So M&Ms wouldn't work too good in the oven, I don't think. But just think about the checklist and some items that you want to add to the recipe. You can use a recipe and do everything according to step, including proportions of the different ingredients. But if you miss one ingredient sometimes, it makes a huge difference. For instance, if you forget the sugar or you forget the baking powder, it's really important to follow the checklist, because they have a way of making you look really, really good. In the book, The Checklist Manifesto, the author Gawande argues that the world is overwhelmed with complexity today, and even highly trained professionals fail, not because they don't know enough, but because they forget little things. So he created this checklist going into the aviation community and looking at what aviation people do in terms of checklists. My background is as a pilot. I was a Marine pilot for 24 years, and we had checklists, and every aircraft has a different checklist. You want to be sure that you have a checklist. You want to be sure that it's a right checklist, because a checklist of a helicopter is different than a jet. I need to tell you. Gawande shows that well-designed checklists reduce errors, improve communication, create shared accountability, and free experts to actually think. Checklists really don't replace the expertise, they actually elevate it. Because in checklists, that's one more thing you don't need to concern yourself with. One of the examples that we talked about today in our morning huddle mastermind was that the Indy crews at the Indianapolis 500 have a really good example of people doing what they need to do, not worrying about what the other people need to do. When you see a car move into the pit for gasoline or tire or whatever, not everybody is dealing with the refueling. Somebody's dealing with the tires. Somebody's looking at taking care of the driver. Somebody's looking care of whatever system they have, and they're all together doing their own thing together, so that they can get that automobile, yes, out of the pit as soon as possible to continue the race. I've got 5 talking points that I'll go through here real briefly, just to give you an idea of what you may be wanting to think. The name of that book again is the Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. 5 excellent talking points. Complexity has outpaced memory. Checklists prevent stupid mistakes. Checklists improve team communication. Good checklists are short, precise, and practical. And finally, checklists build a culture reliability. Going back to the first one here, complexity has outpaced memory. Modern work today is too complex for anyone to hold everything in their head. The checklist is not just a crutch, it's really a cognitive support in a high stakes world. I found that to be very true. Very true. Secondly, checklists prevent stupid mistakes. Not ignorance, but ineptitude causes most failures. We skip steps we know. When you talk about pilot error in the not the real estate, but the aviation community, pilot error is the cause in 95% of all aircraft accidents, mishaps. And it's important for you to know that, because we want to be sure we get all the steps. Checklist ensures that the basics are never missed. Basics. There's some checklists within a checklist, but the main thing is that people understand getting it done so that they can have a successful mission. The third item to talk about is checklists improve team communication. You can't help but be impressed when you're doing improvement on your house. Maybe she or he wanted to do something that the other one didn't want to do. I just don't know. But if your team is communicating, if the person is talking to the other person, husband, wife, partners, team members, if you can communicate with checklists to be sure that everything is going well, then you'll be a lot better off. A simple pause to confirm names, know roles, plans, reduces communication or complications to communications drastically. In fact, Gawande even talks about having the service people, the custodial staff in the operating room, because sometimes they see stuff that the users don't see. And communication holds the connection and shared ownership among the team, especially in tense or hierarchical environments, like, for instance, a physician doing surgery. The first, complexity has outpaced memory, yes. Second, checklists prevent stupid mistakes. Third, checklists improve team communication. And fourth, good checklists are short, precise, and practical. They highlight essentials, not every tiny detail. You do those because you have to. And a great checklist catches the killer items at the right moment in the workflow. A killer item would be something that is incredibly important. And so that's Talking point number 4. And talking point number 5 after 4, checklists build a culture of reliability. So we have complexity in the workplace, in life. Their checklists prevent stupid mistakes. Checklists improve team communication, and good checklists are short, precise, and practical. Finally, the checklists build a culture of reliability. Using checklists signals professionalism, humility, and excellence. This is a really important lesson that we have. And just thinking about it, there's many applications. But in the meantime, hopefully this conversation will help you, encourage you, guide you as you go about your workaday world. And we'll look forward to talking to you real soon. Have a good 2 weeks before Christmas Day today. God bless.